Hey there, procurement enthusiast. We're going to take a deep dive today.
Into effective procurement strategies for small to medium-sized companies.
Yeah.
It's a resource that you were clearly very excited about, and for good reason. I mean,
Yeah,
it's jam-packed with models
it is.
like the Kraljic matrix and supplier preferencing and power dependency. It's
Yeah,
like the ultimate procurement toolkit.
it is.
But before we kind of like break it all down,
Yeah.
what was it about these strategies that made you hit that deep dive button?
I think it's a fantastic selection of models, and each one kind of offers a really unique lens for approaching procurement strategically.
Okay.
And I think the key takeaway, I think for me at least, is to not get bogged down in using every single model.
Right.
It's about pinpointing the one or two
Okay.
that speak to your needs and challenges.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
And speaking of smart, the Kraljic matrix really jumped out at me.
Yeah.
It's such a simple but effective way to categorize purchases.
Absolutely. And it's all about understanding the impact and the risk associated with each purchase.
Okay.
So you've got your strategic items,
Mm-hmm.
these are your high impact, high risk purchases,
Mm.
essential components for a tech company, for example.
Right.
Then you've got your bottleneck items. They might not break the bank,
Right.
but a supply chain hiccup there could really throw a wrench in your operations.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got your leverage items, where you have some negotiating power.
Okay.
And then your routine purchases, the everyday essentials.
So instead of treating all purchases equally, you strategize based on where they fall in this matrix.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
It's like that aha moment when you realize you've been going about things with a one-size-fits-all approach when you could be so much more strategic.
Exactly. And that's where the value lies, right?
Right.
So for instance, if you identify an item as strategic,
Okay.
the resource suggests diversifying your suppliers.
Okay.
Which, might feel counterintuitive at first.
Right.
Especially if you found a partner that you trust. But,
Right.
Having that backup plan, especially these days,
Yeah.
can be a lifesaver.
It's like having a plan B just in case.
Exactly.
Now, as we're talking strategy,
Mm-hmm.
the supplier preferencing matrix really caught my eye as well.
Okay.
Because it's like relationship advice.
Yeah.
But for suppliers,
Yeah.
it's about understanding how you rank in their eyes.
It's a fascinating concept, right? Yeah. Because not every supplier is going to view your business in the same way.
Right.
So this matrix encourages you to kind of analyze their perspective.
Okay.
Are you a small fish in a big pond?
Mhm.
Or are you a high-value client?
Right.
And the answer can really change your approach and your results.
It's like realizing that communication is a two-way street.
Yeah.
Even in procurement.
Absolutely.
This matrix seems like it could be incredibly powerful,
It is.
especially when it comes to negotiation.
Absolutely.
So if I'm like a smaller business
Yeah.
working with a supplier who's like practically a titan in their industry,
Right.
how can I leverage this matrix to my advantage?
Yeah.
I feel kind of powerless in that scenario.
Yeah. And I think you hit on a common pain point, I think, for a lot of businesses.
And, that's where this power dependency model comes in.
Okay.
This model, as outlined in effective procurement strategies, is all about recognizing where you stand
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme of the supplier relationship.
So it's about knowing if you have the upper hand or if you need to strategize a bit more carefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
Negotiating with your local mechanic
Okay.
is a very different ballgame than negotiating with like a multinational car manufacturer.
Right.
They have different levels of dependency
Yeah.
on your business,
Mm-hmm.
and that really shifts the dynamic.
That's a great analogy. I can see how that plays out.
Yeah.
So if I'm dealing with a supplier who seems to hold all the cards,
Yeah.
how can I level the playing field?
Well, that's where understanding your leverage or even creating leverage comes in. Right. So could you increase your order volume
Okay.
to become a more significant client?
Okay.
Perhaps offering a longer contract term
Right.
might sweeten the deal.
Okay.
Or even exploring alternative suppliers,
Right.
just to create a little bit of competition.
So it's like having options gives you leverage.
Exactly.
Who knew?
Exactly.
But it's not always about playing hardball, is it?
Right.
What if I'm in a position of strength?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think the power dependency model also speaks to this idea of like responsible leverage.
Okay.
Just because you can push for a certain term doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Building those mutually beneficial and sustainable relationships, I think, is really key in the long run.
Right.
Scorched earth negotiation, I don't think helps anyone.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so be strategic, but also ethical
exactly.
in our approach.
I like it.
Now, shifting gears a bit,
Okay.
the purchasing chessboard
Okay.
sounds very intriguing,
Yeah.
like a game changer, literally.
I like how you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is kind of a strategic game plan
Okay.
for your procurement process.
Okay.
Effective procurement strategies outlines 16 different approaches
Wow.
within this model,
That's
each
good.
tailored for a specific scenario.
Okay.
And they really guide you with these pointed questions.
Mm-hmm.
Should we focus on optimizing our internal processes,
Right.
or should we explore external partnerships?
Okay.
Make or buy decisions are also a key part of this chess game.
So it's about knowing when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yeah.
But in the procurement world, exactly.
And this leads perfectly into, I think, the outsourcing matrix,
Yes.
which kind of goes hand in hand.
Very closely related.
Yeah. And this one helps you determine which activities are truly core to your business.
Yes.
The ones you should keep in-house,
Keep it in-house.
and then the ones that maybe would thrive under the care of an external expert.
Yeah. Or maybe even just aren't performing well
Right.
internally, and by outsourcing them,
Right.
you're able to free up resources to focus on what you excel at.
That must be a huge relief to some of these businesses who are feeling very spread thin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially small to medium-sized businesses.
Working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Now, the stakeholder and contract management matrices, I have to admit,
Yeah.
those sounded a little intimidating at first. But then I realized that they're all about bringing order to the chaos.
You nailed it.
Right.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
So the stakeholder matrix basically helps you map out your stakeholders
Mm-hmm.
based on their influence and interest
Okay.
in your procurement process.
Oh, okay.
And it's about recognizing that different stakeholders require different communication strategies,
Okay.
right? Some people are fine with a quick email update.
Right.
Others need a full-blown dog and pony show.
Yeah. It's like tailoring your message for maximum impact.
Exactly.
And the contract management matrix, that's about identifying those make or break contracts.
Yeah, instead of treating all contracts with the same level of attention,
Okay.
you categorize them based on their potential risk
Mm-hmm.
and their value to the business. And naturally, a high-value, high-risk contract needs a more hands-on approach
Right.
than a low-value, low-risk one.
Right.
And this is another area where I think technology can be a game changer.
Oh, tell me more. I was just thinking how much easier all of this would be with the right software.
Absolutely. Contract management software
Yeah.
is becoming increasingly popular, and for good reason.
Yeah.
It can automate a lot of those really tedious tasks, like tracking deadlines, managing renewals,
Right.
even flagging potential risks.
It's like having a personal assistant
It's
for
just
all your
fabulous.
contract.
I love that,
Now, that's music to any business owner's ears.
for sure.
Now, speaking of interesting tools, there's one more model I want to touch on.
Okay.
The Johari window.
Okay.
This one seemed a bit different
It is.
than all the others.
It is. And it might honestly be the most profound
Okay.
model in the whole resource.
Interesting.
Yeah. The Johari window is not about
Right.
spreadsheets or categories.
Yeah.
It's about self-awareness
Mm-hmm.
and fostering better communication within your team.
So how does that tie back to procurement?
Well, it's all about communication,
Okay.
which is at the heart of successful procurement.
That's true.
Right. So think about those 4 quadrants.
Okay.
You got the open area, which represents shared knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the hidden area, things you know, but maybe haven't shared with others.
Okay.
The blind spot area,
Mm-hmm.
aspects that others see in you that you might miss.
Okay.
And then the unknown area, which represents unexplored potential.
So it's about, fostering this very open dialogue and seeking feedback and becoming more aware of our own blind spots
Exactly.
as individuals, but also as a team.
And as a team, yeah, the Johari window really encourages that vulnerability,
Okay.
that constructive feedback, and it ultimately leads, I think, to a more cohesive and effective procurement team.
Yeah, I can see how that would be invaluable in a field like procurement,
Absolutely.
where relationships are so key.
It's all about relationships, and strong relationships are built on trust and transparency.
Right.
And I think the Johari window can be that unexpected,
Yeah.
but really powerful tool
Right.
to kind of take those relationships to the next level.
This has been incredibly insightful. I feel like we covered so much ground,
We did.
and I'm already feeling more equipped to tackle my own procurement challenges.
That's great to hear.
It feels like we just climbed Mount Procurement or something.
I know, right?
So many models and matrices,
It's a lot.
from that Kraljic matrix to the supplier preferencing, and even that really thought-provoking Johari window.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they packed into effective procurement strategies.
It really is. And, we've really just scratched the surface.
Right.
But honestly, even having a basic grasp
Yeah.
of these models can totally change how you approach procurement.
Yeah.
It's about, giving yourself the tools to make those smart decisions every step of the way.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so great about effective procurement strategies.
Yeah.
It's not just theory.
No.
It's stuff you can actually use.
It's practical.
Which is what we want.
Right.
From a deep dive like this. So where do we even begin?
Right.
Because it's a lot to take in.
It is. And procurement's always changing, too.
Right.
Not like you learn it once and you're done.
Exactly.
It's all about keeping those skills fresh.
So what would you say to someone listening who's sitting there like, okay, I'm ready. I want to do this, but where do I even start?
I think it's easy to feel overwhelmed when you have so many options in front of you.
So many tools.
And I always say start with the one
Okay.
that feels most relevant
Okay.
to what you're struggling with right now.
So it's like if supplier relationships are a headache.
Yeah, dive into that supplier preferencing matrix.
Right.
If it's contracts that keep you up at night,
Okay.
the contract management matrix is your new best friend.
It's about picking the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
You wouldn't use a hammer to put in a screw.
Exactly.
So having that guide, like
Yeah.
effective procurement strategies, is so helpful.
Absolutely.
To walk you through all of this.
Like having a procurement mentor in your back pocket.
I love it.
Right.
Any final words of wisdom for our listener?
Stay curious.
Okay.
Procurement's always changing up.
Right.
So don't be afraid to keep learning. Then try new things to experiment a little.
Yeah.
Find out what works for you.
What works for you
Yeah.
in your business?
Exactly. Even small steps can lead to big wins.
I love that. Small steps, big wins.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling energized.
I am too.
I'm feeling empowered. Yeah.
And I feel like that's what this is about.
Absolutely.
Giving you the knowledge to make good decisions.
That's what it's all about.
Well, until next time, happy sourcing, everyone.
Happy sourcing.